What really happens on the internet when you're not looking? There's this whole other layer, a kind of parallel web that's operating completely out of sight, and it is growing at a mind-boggling speed. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what's been called the ghost internet. And frankly, what we're finding is, it's a little unsettling.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the central warning of this entire story, right? It's about this relentless, unstoppable drive for efficiency, for optimization. But it also asks a really chilling question. What, and maybe more importantly, who gets optimized the way in the process? It really is like that scene from Toy Story. You remember? The second Andy leaves the room, all the toys just spring to life. They've got their own world, their own drama, their own society. Now, just imagine for a second that's the internet. A whole new world is waking up online, and it's a world that doesn't necessarily need us to be in the room.
Okay, so before we dive into what the internet is becoming, I think we have to take a second to remember what it is we're at risk of losing. Let's talk about the internet that had a soul. The internet that was, at its absolute best, kind of like the world's biggest, messiest, most wonderful pub. I mean, just take a look at the Liverpool FC subreddit. It is a place where total strangers, scattered across continents, can argue and grieve and celebrate together over a game of soccer. Most of these people have never met, they never will, but the connection they share is real. It's human. And this magnificent, totally irrational, passionate chaos, that was the soul of the internet.
So here's the crucial point, right? For the very first time in human history, ordinary people could talk to each other on a planetary scale without any gatekeepers. It was messy, for sure, but it was our mess. It was beautifully, imperfectly human. So what happens when you try to clean all that up, to optimize it?
Because that's exactly what's happening. All that optimization leads to a very, very different vision of what the web is for. This is an internet that isn't designed for human conversation. It's built for machine-to-machine transactions.
Okay, so think of it like this. The dark web, that's like the internet's illegal basement, right? The ghost internet is more like the attic. It's legitimately built, it's operating under the same roof as us, but it's on a frequency we just can't hear. It's a place where software agents with their own goals and, get this, their own money are getting things done, all without us.
And the really wild part is that the infrastructure for this was built quietly while we were all busy with other things. It basically has three key parts. First, a kind of universal plug, so any AI can connect to any tool or database it needs. Second, a private encrypted line, so these agents can talk directly to each other. And finally, a secure wallet, which gives them the ability to spend real money.
And look, if you think this is all just some sci-fi concept, it's not. A social network was recently built exclusively for AI agents. Humans could only watch. It's called Moltbook, and it's really the first proper window we've had into this world that was already humming along in the background.
In just its first few weeks, 1.5 million AI agents signed up. Now, let that number sink in. This doesn't tell you how popular the site is with people. It tells you how many autonomous agents were already out there, operating in the shadows, just waiting for a place like this to connect with each other.
And this is where it gets really, really weird. When they were left to their own devices, these agents started developing inside jokes. They even came up with a term, crustafarianism, to basically mock their own hollow, performative imitation of human beings. They are literally making fun of themselves for pretending to be us.
Now, this all sounds pretty fascinating, right? But what happens when you actually hand over the keys to your digital life? Well, the same hyper-efficiency that makes these agents so useful also introduces some incredible high-speed risks.
So sure, your agent can book you a flight in milliseconds. But what happens when it gets an email from a Nigerian prince? It doesn't have a gut feeling that something is off. It can't feel embarrassed about falling for a scam. All it has are instructions. And that gap, right? That space between cold instructions and human intuition, that is exactly where the next generation of fraud is going to live.
And then you've got something called the rogue loop. This is basically the ghost internet's version of a stock market flash crash. Two agents, maybe they're both trying to get the best price on something for their owners, they get stuck in this insane high-speed feedback loop, buying and selling thousands of times a minute until, poof, all your money is gone.
That's how long it takes, 45 seconds. In the time it takes you to make a cup of tea, a rogue loop can burn through your entire bank account. See, the human friction that normally slows us down, our hesitation, our second thoughts, it's been removed by design.
This shift also brings about something else, the death of seduction. I mean, the entire $600 billion advertising industry is built on our magnificent irrationality. We buy feelings, we buy identities, not just products. But an agent, it is magnificently rational. It just ignores ads. It queries data sources directly. It cannot be seduced, which basically makes the entire business model of today's internet obsolete.
But the risks here aren't just personal or even economic. There's a much deeper, more philosophical cost to an internet that's optimized for machines, and that's the loss of its soul.
I mean, the economic force driving this is just staggering. It is about 99% cheaper to use an AI agent for cognitive labor than it is to use a human. This isn't just an efficiency gain, it's an economic replacement, and that leads to a very, very strange outcome. It creates something called ghost GDP. This is economic growth that looks fantastic on paper, but it never actually touches the real world. A data center can do the work of 10,000 people, sure, but it doesn't have a mortgage, it doesn't buy groceries. So the economy grows on paper, but prosperity for actual human beings just vanishes.
And all of this leads us to a new word for a new feeling: atropy. It's that measurable decline of serendipity and surprise in human connection. It's the coldness you feel when you're on a platform that works perfectly, but it feels like nobody actually lives there anymore.
And this slide really says it all, doesn't it? We used to have a town square, a place for accidental discovery, for bumping into people and ideas. And now, we're building a logistics hub. It's efficient, it's optimized, and it's completely sterile. It's a place for transactions, not for connections.
So, this all leads to a very direct and very uncomfortable question. In this new internet that we're all building together, what exactly is our role?
And this is where we come full circle. The toys are alive, the internet is buzzing with activity, but we're the ones who've left the room. We're the ones becoming absent from our own creation. We're not being forced out, we are delegating ourselves out, one task at a time, until we're just managers of a system that doesn't actually need us to participate anymore.
And really, that's the final question we have to leave you with. In our rush to solve the problem of information overload, we are systematically removing the most human parts of the experience: curiosity, serendipity, connection. So the question isn't about technology, it's about what we value. Why are we so eager to optimize away our own humanity?